What's up, guys? Today on Creative Use, I'm talking about logos, when you should redesign yours, if at all, and how to create a better one. So Nick and I were recently traveling in the airport and came across this brand who, well, this is a rebrand if I've ever seen one. As you can see, their Great Wraps was kind of halfway in between their old brand and their new brand. I think their new logo was fantastic. It was a great example of really improving and leveling up in their game, as their branding game, their logo game. The colors are super fresh and nice. You can see there's like the bright color there that says the word eat. That's kind of a dual meaning in the word great for Great Wraps. And then the rest of the font is like whited out. And so when you like look at it, there's like a bright eat there. I love logos when they have dual meaning, dual purpose. I think this is a great way to use your logo to either have a hidden message, a hidden mark, or emblem inside there that has another or a secondary meaning. So with my previous business, Salt of the Earth, I know I'm talking a lot about that, but you guys, I worked 10 years on that business and there was a lot of thought and everything that was put into that. So if you look at this logo here, we wanted both the words Salt of the Earth in our logo and we wanted an emblem. So we created this emblem that was kind of this flower mark that we wanted to connotate like botanical and natural. So created this flower mark, and as you can see, if you kind of tilt your head to one side, you look and there's an S that's sort of crooked. In the middle, that dot, that's an O. And then on this other side, connected to those two, is a backwards E for Salt of the Earth. So not a lot of people knew that about our logo, but that's the current logo that the brand still has. And I thought it was a great way that, like, not everybody has to know that about your logo, but to have a little bit of a deeper meaning, but that means something, I think is fantastic. FedEx also, there's an arrow. If you look at their logo, there's an arrow that goes right through there, as you can see on this logo. So I'm gonna talk about some tips that you guys can use to, if you're maybe doing a logo redesign or you're thinking about a logo for your business or for your brand, that you can use to create a much better one. So the first type of logo we're gonna call an emblem, right? So like a Harley Davidson, for example. This is something that's wrapped up usually with a frame around it, has some kind of emblem. These are hard, and when you're trying, you know what's bad about these sometimes is you're trying to scale your logo down really small. Sometimes there's a little more embellishments in them and it's hard to scale down super small. I love these though because they kind of wrap it up, make a really great stamp or a seal. Emblems are kind of old school, right? This is kind of if you want a sense of tradition or longevity with your brand, emblems can be a great way to go. Second type of logo is a logo mark or like a word mark. So you're taking and you want the name of your business. I mean, we all want our names of our business to be really promoted and remembered, but this is where you want to go super clean, a nice typeface. This can be an excellent way just to get your name out there. A good example of this, Google, right? Really simple. They want their words to be really tight and clean and straightforward. Third type of logo we're talking about is a monogram. Well, a monogram sometimes is kind of like an acronym or a shorter meaning of a word, a dual meaning of a word. For example, did you guys know that the logo or the brand 3M stands for Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, right? There's three words that have M's and they call it 3M. So this is a great way if you have a long name, if you have more of a phrase or more of an identity that you want to promote, a great way to do this is use it in a monogram. The next type is called a brand mark. So brand marks are where you're getting more away from words and more of actual logos, right? So you can see sometimes with a brand, like we want to, like when you can be identified with an icon, like that's a powerful brand, right? So if you look at Starbucks, for example, of where their logo started, and it started with more words, and as time went on, they became more and more popular. Now they're just recognized as this brand mark. They don't need any words as part of their brand, but they can just go by this marking. This is an excellent way if you want to maybe start with words that go around a brand, and then you kind of like leave out words, and sometimes in your branding or your packaging and your messaging, you just have like that emblem mark that you want to be known by. The next one is like an abstract logo mark. So you look at a brand like Nike, or you look at some of these other brands who kind of create their own shape and identity. It doesn't really have to have a literal meaning or a literal interpretation or drawing or like words sort of like making a shape that have to do with your logo. This can be anything. You can invent your own. You can stylize your own. So sometimes if you have, you know, a simple name for your logo or for your brand name and you want an icon as part of that, make one up. This can be a great way to create your own unique identity. The next type of logo you can use to brand your company is through a mascot. So this is different than words and kind of like icons, but more of like a character. You know, it could be a drawing, or it could represent kind of a cartoon or a person. Like the brand that comes to my mind when I think about this is like Mr. Peanut, right? So this is an icon that's been around forever and been around for years and years and years. But you know, the downside of this is it can come across as too kitschy, too like not too friendly, but come across a little too juvenile at times when you use a mascot of some sort. But a great way, if you have a really brand that you want to be friendly and approachable, or like a younger brand, demographically to sell to like a younger generation with kids, mascot can be a great way to go. And last but definitely not least is a combination mark. Combination mark is what we used at Salt of the Earth, where we have an icon and then we had the word of our brand marking, our actual brand name. This is a great way to go, especially if you want to move on just to that icon eventually someday, or just use that in like an emblem in packaging, or like a logo on a t-shirt or something like that. But combination marks are some of my favorite ways to go, especially when you have like a couple colors. You have like a dominant color in your brand that could be like the word mark, and then you have like a little splash of color that could be like something smaller or part of that word mark that is more of an icon. All right, guys, I hope you got some great information from the different types of logos out there. But if you have a business that has a logo and you're thinking about doing a rebrand, like how do you decide when is the appropriate time to go ahead and do that rebrand? So this is hard because like when you have a logo out there and you put your brand out there all the time and your name over and over and over again, you want people to recognize it, right? So the longer you keep your logo, arguably, the more recognizable it becomes, especially if it's an icon or a logo or a mascot. That's why using words can be like a better way. And then if you do a color change or a font change, like it's not as big of a deal. But you still want to keep your logo as long as possible, in my mind, until it's ready for a refresh. Sometimes there's new ownership. Sometimes you're launching a new product or you're pivoting your company, and it's a great time for that rebrand. I've seen companies do it when they have something really new or innovative that's happening in their business and they want to like do like a really, really nice refresh. Great way to do it. Okay, guys, hope you got value from today's episode of Creative Juice. Make sure and subscribe, like, comment on anything that you guys liked about this episode or want to see more of. And we will see you guys on Creative Juice tomorrow. Like this if you like it, comment for the community, and share if you really care.